With JJK Modulo chapter 21 spoilers dropping in just less than 12 hours, let us discuss what is going to happen in this chapter, with Tsurugi awakening and finishing off Maru, Yuji intervening and not letting Tsurugi kill Maru, as well as some insane Iori theories too. Let's just get right into it. Be sure to leave a like on the video, it helps out so much, thank you very much. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK Modulo content just like this. If you love JJK Modulo, I promise you're not going to get subscribing. So I will split this video into two different parts. The first part is actually going to be based off a really cool theory I found about Iori. The second part is going to be my predictions specifically for chapter 21. And this theory implies that Iori was actually the one who killed Yuta and Maki. And it comes from someone on Twitter called hashtag Iori Comeback. It's a pretty funny name, actually very fitting. But of course, I will show you the panels that it's shown. We know that Iori didn't like that the current generation of Jujutsu sorcerers were very weak compared to parents' generation, and that even actually led him into a very deep depression and just madness, like literal madness, to the point that he was banished and left the clan. And even Yuta and Maki and Yuji all refused to tell Tsurugi anything about Iori. They flat out refused to talk about it, even to their own son. And then of course we have a fantastic actually catch by this user where they point out Satoru Gojo and Itadori Yuji put a stop to it. But do you know anyone as extraordinary as them in Japan? When the world finds out how weak sorcerers have become, this shady new energy business will be over. This right here is showing that Iori maybe wanted to prove his point that sorcerers have become weak. So what he did is actually take out Yuta and Maki, and that has actually shown a vacuum about how weak the new generation are. And then it shows the next page, which is interesting, that Maki passed away and then Yuta passed very soon after. And it's interesting the wording that when Maki died, Yuta just seemed to be getting weaker by the day. Originally, and this is probably what it means, but in this theory it is implying that there was a sort of poison or jujutsu technique that was slowly killing them, and that was actually what was happening. So what we may have thought was just heartbreak from Yuta may have actually just been some poisoning or jujutsu technique slowly killing. And then of course the final line, there's no real connection, it's just pretty cool. Actually there is a pretty good connection, but it wouldn't be fair if I made an exception for my parents, would it? A line from Geto, who parallels Yuta pretty well, considering Yuta was the one who defeated Geto and is the reason Geto died. I mean, JJK 0 was literally Yuta versus Geto. Now I'm not saying I subscribe to the theory or I think it's going to be true. In all likelihood it probably just is Yuta and Maki died of old age and simply that, but I will admit there is so much coincidence to it all. How literally what the guy said in chapter 1 is exactly what Iori was upset about in the beginning, or I guess I should say 16 years before JJK even started. And of course after Yuta and Maki died, that is when the society of sorcerers started to become weaker, and people already got to see that, maybe even proving Iori's point. And it just being shady how Yuta and Maki died so close to their age, especially when you consider that Nobara is still alive. It was confirmed, like it's not a voice recording. In the recent chapter we got an extra Jujutsu scroll confirming both Nobara and Todo are still alive, and that's 16 years after Yuta and Maki died. Or I guess I should say specifically, they didn't die 16 years ago, but they actually died 6 years before the main story, so they would have been 80 when they both died, give or take. Like you can say 81, around their age, because of course Yuka was around 10, Tsurugi around 11 when they died, so that would mean Yuta and Maki, yeah, it would have been around 5-6 years ago, somewhere around there. Even in that case, I will say it's just interesting. I like this theory. It probably isn't going to be true, but it could be true and it could lead to something. And the reason I say this is because the Iori plotline is still open and the Mahito plotline is still open. Now we have two possible routes we go to. Either A, we just talk about this in the sequel of JJK Modulo if there is going to be a sequel, which I do believe, or B, this is going to be covered very soon, because do remember JJK Modulo is ending in like 5-6 chapters and we still don't know what Mahito was on about. We have no idea what he was talking about, like why Mahito was introduced. So that plotline has to become relevant very soon, like very soon. And of course I've made so many videos recently in the past explaining Iori and Mahito's connection, so I mean if it is going to happen, it may even happen next chapter or within the next 2-3 chapters, Iori and Mahito's connection, if not in a sequel, with it being revealed that Iori was the reason Yuta and Maki died. Crazy theory, but it is what it is. And for the next part of this video, I want to talk about specific chapter 21 predictions. I actually do believe that we are going to continue off from Tsurugi and Maru. If not in the beginning of the chapter, I think it's going to happen during this chapter, and I believe Yuji is actually going to intervene. I think Tsurugi might be able to finish off Maru, and before he does, I think Yuji's actually going to step in and not let him finish it off. Yuji does have his curse technique shrine, and he does have the best reverse curse technique we've ever seen. He could actually save Maru's life, first of all, just pure reverse curse technique. But if Maru is cut in a way that's really devastating, in a way that like you literally can't heal reverse curse technique, a very deep cut, Yuji may be the one to reveal the reversal of shrines technique. Instead of cutting things, he may be able to reattach things, where he reattaches the cut limbs or body of Maru and then he heals him that way. I just don't think now that Yuji is aware of the fight happening between Maru and Tsurugi, he outright says, I can't let anyone intervene between those four, including Tsurugi and Maru. I don't think he's gonna let them kill each other. My main evidence for this is literally the most recent chapter, I guess one chapter ago in 19. The aliens and the humans were about to fight, and just before they started to fight, Yuji intervened and stopped it, like perfectly timed. And that just leads me to believe that Yuji is so aware of everything happening right now, he's not gonna let Maru and Tsurugi kill each other. Like, he would step in just before Tsurugi kills Maru, and he's not gonna let him do it, because Tsurugi and Maru are friends. I do believe Yuji is going to be the bridge between everyone, and I think that's gonna be the main thing that's going on there. And I do think we're gonna get more Dabura and Mahoraga. Oh, the last and my favorite part to talk about. Dabura and Mahoraga is going to be absolutely wild, especially considering the fact that Dabura has been foreshadowed to get a domain when he's thinking, how am I gonna end this fight in one move? That is just straight up foreshadowing he's gonna use domain expansion. And not only that, I do think he's gonna combine his darkness and his light, and it's going to create an utterly insane combination, something even stronger than the Hollow Purple, something ridiculously breaking. Again, made a video on that recently. But with the chapter coming out in just less than 12 hours, it is very interesting and important to talk about. JJK Modulo is coming to an end. Like, that is a sad reality, we have to admit. Only 5 to 6 chapters left. I do believe, considering the immense, and I truly mean immense popularity of JJK Modulo, we are going to get a sequel on JJK Modulo. I do believe that there is going to be a JJK Modulo Part 2, and that this series, it may not even be called JJK Modulo, it may just be called JJK something else, but it probably is going to either take place after JJK Modulo or even a lot of time after it as well. And again, this mainly goes to just the sheer popularity of JJK. I mean, they could have just milked it like Boruto, but Boruto is not doing very good in sales. Like, this whole time, it is never compared at all to Naruto or anything at all, really. But JJK Modulo, it's just not the case. I mean, it's sheer numbers, it's sales, how popular it is online, and the money it's producing is way more than any sequel series I've ever seen. And again, because Gege is not drawing it himself, but Gege is the one writing and also making these storyboards, it is a very easy format because you have an artist, you have a writer. It's way more easy and a lot less straining on both of them, on Gege and the artist. But mainly Gege, I guess, is the key player here, as sad as that sounds. And with the immense success, I just don't see them saying, okay, thanks for this short JJK story, Modulo, we're never going to touch upon this again. I think JJK Modulo was actually just an experiment. What if they just put a short story, just a sequel, just to test the waters? Like, are people interested in a JJK Part 2? I think because there's been so many issues of they just make a sequel of something, like this is the next generation, like Boruto, without thinking about, like, oh, this is Naruto, like the sequel's gonna be popular, and then Boruto just isn't really that popular, it doesn't do that great in sales, like, at all, and they kind of realize their mistakes, like, oh, wait, just because it's attached to the main series doesn't mean it's gonna do good. I imagine they probably just learned from their mistakes, you know, Shueisha, Shonen Jump, and they were just thinking, let's just see if people are interested, let's see how the popularity does if we make a short story, and you know, we can go from there. And it turns out people really love JJK's sequel, and people really want more, which I do believe is going to be a setup for a JJK 2, like straight JJK 2, maybe even a JJK prequel to the Heian era. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, it helps out so much. Thank you very much. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK Modulo content just like this. If you love JJK Modulo, I promise you, you're not going to subscribing. But hey, that's all from me. Have a great day, guys, and take care.